At 12 to 1 and point in time at 20 to 1. Warm welcome if you're joining us for the first time. Our fourth race at Kempton. We're going to pick them up in the paddock. Rachel Candid in the studio. And first up, number 5.
Yeah, well, he's done a lot right since he's returned from his winter holiday as a 4-year-old. He's won his last twice, both at Epsom, including the Great Metropolitan Handicap, which probably was the main plan, and then just because icing on the cake, he won the big Derby Day Handicap. There, Oisin Murphy gets back aboard. He rode him to win the Great Met. The form of the last race is working out. The fourth sextent for the Queen won at Windsor last week. All of his wins have been on turf, which is the one slight worry. He's had one go in the all-weather. It was his comeback run. It was in the Rosebery Handicap, and he ran 5th. So his one go in a probably actually a better race than realistically this might end up being. It didn't show he didn't handle it. That was also his comeback run, and obviously that was the get ready for the Epsom double run. So he is an interesting horse.
Here he is on Derby Day.
Just rolls down the outside. He did this with the Great Met. He was sitting a bit further back, and he just seems to really relish undulating tracks, as his other one was at Goodwood. So it'll be interesting if there is something to that, and a flat track today may not suit as well. I mean, he is a lot shorter than I thought he would be. I thought he'd be the favourite just on recency of form, and he's got a lot of ones next to his name, and they're high-profile ones. But this isn't an egg and spoon race. This is actually quite a competitive race. So if he can handle Kempton, he will take a lot of the beating. But Dasia, who is your second favourite in at 4 to 1, I mean, he's coming off the back of 3 wins, except that was 8 months ago. So it's whether or not he's going to be absolutely race fit. The interesting thing is he's actually been declared twice so far this year, but the ground's come up just too firm for him to run. So obviously Peter Chapelheim's happy that he has the horse, that he has Dasia fit and ready to go, but he just hasn't actually had the ground ready, good enough for him to run on.
Well, here is Dasia in action, then the Phoenix Thoroughbred colours, the orange stars on the white, and at this point is just sort of coming under a little bit of a drive, just getting outpaced on the turn, but comes home strongly. And I guess the question is the absence, but he's a colt that showed an awful lot of promise.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is he's stepping up 2 furlongs in trip, but this was 10 furlongs at Ponty, and just watch the way he just easily pulls away from them up the hill. The extra couple furlongs shouldn't worry you. And coming off a break, well, he won off an actual longer break last year between August of 2017 and September of 2018. He won off of that, and he won back-to-back races at Chester, and then this one here at Ponty. So I'm not really particularly worried about the break, especially, as I said, he's already been declared twice but scratched because of the grounds coming up a bit too firm. So, I mean, he's kind of one of the interesting watching horses for the Phoenix Thoroughbred connections. And
he's a real galloper.
He's an absolute galloper, and he's going to get a good gallop to run at. Lawn Ranger might go forward. He also might go forward, because that win at Ponty, that was the first time he hadn't made all the running. He just sat in about 3rd or 4th there and then had to wait for a gap. From stall 3, Andrea Azzini might just decide, well, let's go. Lawn Ranger is from 7, and he's gone forward in the past, but maybe from more of an inside draw, they might just decide, let's make this a gallop. Catch me if you can.
God, this is a good-looking race, isn't it? Because you got Dasia returning. You mentioned Lawn Ranger, who scored at Windsor when last seen on the turf. Kempton all-weather form, go back to April, finished at 2nd, beaten a neck. Probably not as strong that race as this will be, but you're looking at a big price, 14 to 1 if he was to come back and be good enough in this division.
Yeah, and when we see a shot of him, he's a big horse. You see him in the Canesby Bloodstock colours that have been carried quite successfully around Kempton. He is a big, lovely horse. I was absolutely gobsmacked a couple of years ago when he made his 2-year-old debut, and he won at Lingfield. That won at Lingfield. on the all-weather, mind you. And I just remember everybody afterwards, he was 20-1. Kieran Fox just went, that was not supposed to happen. And he looped and swooped. And it's taken him a while to get it back. In fact, it took him a year and a half to get back into the winner's enclosure. But it does seem this May at Windsor, the penny is just completely dropped again after a couple of really good runner-up efforts and placed efforts. Here, he's run here 4 times, he's been placed 3 times. And then his last couple of runs over the 1.25 miles at Lingfield have resulted in 2 wins, and he finished second in between those at Lingfield over 1.5 miles. So, I mean, he's just a big, beautiful horse, and I just like him. And I think back to Kempton Long Straight. He might just sit to the outside of Dasia if that's the way they want to play it. But I would expect him and Dasia to be the 2 horses more prominently placed. And I think at his price, 16-1. Yeah, he's stepping up in grade, and this is a bit of a...
He's not out of it, though, by any
No,
means.
he's not. And considering Soto Sizzler has not yet done it on the all-weather as evens, I know he's got really good form, obviously. Dasia coming off the break, but he's won off a break. The front couple in the betting, yeah, they've got a lot of positives. There are a few question marks.
El Ghazouani, Hugo Palmer's runner, James Doyle on board. Question over 1.5 miles. Are we okay with the trip?
I think we're undecided about it. He's had one go over it. It was here at Kempton, and he finished 8th, beaten only 5th, 5 lengths, but he got hampered about twice in the stretch. So I'm not ready to say yay or nay either time. The times that he's won at Lingfield over the 1.25 miles, he stayed on really well. It's just his last couple of runs at this level and higher. He's sort of, you almost want to say he's reached his handicap ceiling, but James Doyle gets back aboard for the first time since his win at Lingfield back in April. He's drawn 1. I mean, I wouldn't say he's out of it, but I would say at the prices, Lone Ranger is too big for what he's done.
Well, he was a 9-1 chance. He's now 16-1. Soto Sizzler was 6-5. Did touch odds on evens. Saw him coming out of the paddock there, going down. He's fresh from that break, so looking to complete the hat-trick for William Knight and Oisin Murphy, the clear favourite at evens now. All 7 of them. And we are making a good stab of this loading process. So with the last couple to go forward, let's rejoin Mark.
Soto Sizzler moving forward with Oisin Murphy. And finally, Jamie Spencer and Highbrow to complete the lineup for our co-feature, the 32 red handicap, 1.5 miles. They're in the gate. And they're off. Very alertly away was Point in Time, but doesn't press on. Towards the wide outside, Lorne Ranger, and towards the inner is El Ghazouani as they come up towards the enclosures now with just over a circuit to go. Lorne Ranger didn't take a lot of time about getting across that far rail and just slightly compromised 1 or 2 in his wake, but it is Lorne Ranger who has the lead to Soto Sizzler, who now moves through to take second. Lit up on the inside rail is El Ghazouani. He hasn't settled. Around the outside is Point in Time, another one now who's just straining the reins. Then Dasia, who's racing in 5th. 1.5 lengths away is Al Hamdani, and the back marker is Highbrow. On the turn, on towards the final mile they go, and Lorne Ranger and Kieran Fox have a lead of just over a length. 3 deep out on the track. Point in Time will re-engage on the outside of the leader, now in a close second. A length back then to the inside is El Ghazouani in 3rd. Soto Sizzler rein back to 4th. 2 lengths away, Dasia in 5th. Al Hamdani, the rail, in 6th, and 1.5 lengths back to the weight with Highbrow as they make the run now on inside the final 7 furlongs. The leader continues to be Lorne Ranger. He's out in front by a controlled length. 2 racing on the outside, Point in Time in 2nd. Towards the inside rail in 3rd is El Ghazouani, and then Soto Sizzler now just ahead away in 4th. 1.5 lengths back to Al Hamdani on the inside of Dasia, and still he waits on the back marker Highbrow as they lead the back straight behind them, and Lorne Ranger extending his lead now to 2 lengths. Just been niggled along in 2nd, Point in Time. 1/2 length to the inside, El Ghazouani in 3rd. They've got a 1/2 mile to go. Soto Sizzler is in 4th. Al Hamdani now being ridden along in 5th. Likewise, Dasia is also being hustled along now in 6th position. Still the back marker is Highbrow. Highbrow inside the final 3 furlongs, and Lawn Ranger still has the lead, and it's now 2.5 lengths to on the inside El Ghazwani. On the outside is Soto Sizzler. Al Hamdani is now beginning to burst through. Dasia now begins to rally on the wide outside. Driven Highbrow inside the final 1.5, and the plot changes. It's Al Hamdani on the inside of Soto Sizzler. Dasia towards the near side. Dasia now goes on by a head. Now it's a neck, and now it's a length, and Dasia is now pouring it on as they race up towards the line. He's come here off a break of over 8 months, but now he has won 4 out of 5. Dasia wins for Peter Chapel-Hyam and Andrea Azzini, and beats Soto Sizzler into second, and in third Al Hamdani.
A 4th win from 5 at 5-1 on his return for Peter Chapel-Hyam. Dasia impressive, landing the 32 red handicap 720 race 4 at Kempton. We will reflect on that performance shortly, but for now we return to Kevin at Bellewstown. The 730 is up next, the Tower Stud handicap, and Jupiter Road